Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Ask the Expert. I'm meteorologist Mark McLean, and joining me today is the owner of Luxe Salon Spa and Laser Center, Karen Pudetti. Thank you for coming on with us and talking about what you do. It's so important for the community to see everybody kind of out and about.
Yes, well, thank you for having me. I was really excited, of course, nervous, but really excited.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, the podcast studio ends up working out pretty good for this kind of stuff. We can display some of the things that you've brought in. Obviously, we're going to get to the book that you have here too. But I think a lot of folks out there would just want to start and just talk to you about what actually inspired you to pursue this career that you have.
Well, if I first started long ago, I have accounting background. And so I did the CPA world, and I'm like, okay, I don't really like that. And then I went into corporate America, and I'm
Oh
like, okay,
boy.
I don't really like this either.
Uh huh.
So I'm like, okay, this isn't for me. And I kept thinking back, like, I always liked the beauty
Uh
industry.
huh.
And then there's one particular time in my life. My mom used to teach modeling and I have two younger sisters. So when we were small, and there was this big event going on, there was several people coming from all over the state and
Oh
other
wow.
states, and they were going to have a runway show. They were shooting all sorts of commercials, and there were like headhunters from models
Yeah.
coming in. So it was like a huge event. So my mom allowed us to go to see kind of like behind the
Oh,
scenes, and we were so excited.
uh,
And my mother made us all dress up. And at the end, my sisters and I got to have our makeup done and
uh,
our hair. So, you've been watching all these women transform, and obviously they all look beautiful, but
yeah.
you should have seen the confidence, the empowerment. And then they would go in and do their different things, whether it had been on the runway, talking, and doing commercials. And I just remember thinking, these women, they could conquer the world right now. And it showed. It was like so impressive. And I just remember when I got my makeup and hair done, I felt, wow, this is an amazing feeling. I felt like if someone said you can go fly, I'd be like, okay, I can do it now.
It's great.
So I just
Yeah.
remember that. And I remember thinking, I love that feeling.
Yeah.
And I really, really wanted to do something where I could do that and give that to other people.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of started it all rolling, is like, okay, I want to make people look good, but even more feel good. And that's what made me start and get into the beauty industry.
That's so interesting. It's like a dream come true then for you, really.
Yeah, it is. And I think, and I know in the back of my head at 19, I knew I wanted my own business and I
Okay.
wanted to work for myself. I wasn't really good at taking orders per
Yeah.
se.
Yeah.
So I knew that was always there too. So I thought I can do this.
Okay, cool. Well, take a step back with me because you mentioned accounting, and what was the moment that you knew that that wasn't the thing for you?
Well, it took me a few moments
Okay.
because I went into the CPA world and I liked doing taxes.
Okay.
I absolutely hated auditing,
Okay.
hated it, because when you went into a business, they saw you coming in and you said, "Oh, I'm, Karen the auditor," and they're like, "Great." They immediately wanted just to hate you, basically.
Here comes a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
here's a closet you can work in.
Yeah.
You can get this one light and enjoy. And so I was like, okay, this I don't really like at all.
It was a handful of things.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
but then I went to corporate and it was like, it's okay. And I'm like, if I'm going to be working for the rest of my life, I need to do something I love, love, love to
Yeah.
do. And I actually went home and told my parents that I've decided, I made a decision, and I was making probably at that time more money than any of my friends, even who went to college.
Okay.
And I said, I am going to quit my job.
And it was like a record scratch, right?
Yeah. And my mother, her jaw dropped. She
Yeah.
had these big bulging eyes.
Yeah.
And she just stared at me. She goes, what did your father say?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
The standard.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I got one of those, and,
Yep.
they were shell shocked.
Yeah.
And it took them a while, but it was actually my dad says, what's the worst thing that can happen? I just said, well, I don't make any money. I go back to accounting. He goes, perfect.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, you probably have a lot of advice for people that have done that, right? I
Yep.
mean, that's a leap. That's a leap of faith. I can't even imagine, coming in and saying, this is it for me.
Yeah.
Here's my next plan, right? But that's an amazing thing.
Yeah, it was just, I knew in my heart. I
Yeah.
really, really did. And And I said, well, maybe I could do it in a year or two. And I kept thinking, why am I putting this off? And
Yeah.
even my dad says, do it while you're young.
Yeah.
Just do it now.
And do that, right?
Yep.
And then you've moved on and you've been super successful, and we've got the book, right?
Yep.
We've got it propped up behind here. We've got Rags to Riches: How Beauty Icons Made It Big, and you also have a clothing line where the revenue goes toward a foundation for ADHD.
Yes.
Oh, that is excellent.
Yes.
That's amazing. Tell us a little bit about the book.
So I've done consulting for salons and spas all around the United States. And I realized that you have these people who are phenomenal at whatever they do, whether it be hair, nails, massage, they're phenomenal. And then they see or they feel they're making all this money, but it's going to the owner.
Okay. Yep.
So and they're like, why am I making the owner rich? Because the owner's got to be rich.
Yeah.
And so then they leave and they go out on their own. And that's where the biggest struggle comes in.
Yep.
They're great at their thing that they do, but they really don't know how to run a business. So what ends up happening is these people are working, and now they're working to pay for the salon or the spa or salon spa, and they're not bringing home a paycheck anymore.
Yeah.
So prior to COVID, it was within 5 years, only 20% of the salon spas would make it.
Wow.
Yeah.
1 in 5.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
And now it's even less than that after COVID.
Wow.
And a lot of people just don't know. They'll say, well, I really track my money coming in. I go, what do you track it going out? They're like, well, no, I pay my bills. So it just becomes a downward spiral. And I mean, I've watched people who've been in business for years, but when they step back from making all the money, the rest of the staff couldn't really pay the bills.
Yeah.
So it was that I decided, and I love helping people, but I was helping one company at a time.
Yep.
And I thought, I want to do something more for our industry. And so that's when I got this brilliant idea. I'll write a book. And
Here we are.
yes, I didn't really know anything about writing a book. I did nothing. And I learned everything kind of the hard way.
Yeah.
And it was this book was about almost 2 years.
Wow. 2 years in the making. Wow.
It was, because what I realized that probably no one wants to listen to what I have to say. I mean, I wanted this to be a book for the whole industry. So I thought, who would they listen to? And so that's when I decided, my staff and I sat around the table and like, who are the biggest, like, who does the eyebrows? And like, Damone Roberts is a guru to eyebrows. So he does Madonna's, Beyonce, Oprah. Oh, no.
Huge stars.
Yeah. Everybody in this book is like huge.
Wow.
When I say huge. Yeah. So, so I started that. And so I have a groomer, and I have the groomer to Tom Hanks. He was a model. And I had one of the girls in my book, she would fly out for the Jonas Brothers every 10 days, wherever they were in the world, to cut their hair, just cut their hair. So, I mean, they are huge stars. And so the first part of each chapter, it tells about, their journey, how they started, their ups, their downs, and then, where they are today.
Sure.
And then the second part is all about where, like, if I'm reading it and I want to start a company, what will I have to do? So it's broken down to different chapters like branding, marketing, P&L, and then it asks a whole bunch of questions. So it really helps you with your business wherever you are for those different chapters. And then after that, it goes into, if you're at this point, as far as branding goes, what do you want to brand? How do you want to brand? These are the different types of branding.
Yep.
And so it goes into the information about it.
It's really important because, and what you do is really important in the book, because you don't know what you don't know.
And
right?
that's exactly what people say when I start going in, I'm
Yeah.
consulting with them and their team. They're like, I never knew that. And it's true, especially in our business, because it's changing so often and so much.
Yep.
And I said, you just don't know what you don't know. And I ask them, what percentage of your back bar to services are you spending?
Yeah.
They look at me like, I don't even know, so it's pretty amazing. And I will say, if you are a successful salon and spa, your profit is 10 to 15%. That's it.
Excellent.
So there are so many costs that go into it. I was just at a training yesterday, and most people were around 1 to 2%. Yep. There
That's
had to be 15, 18 different
yeah.
business owners in there.
So for our audience watching, I think that's fascinating. I think that would catch somebody right there. And also, you mentioned the marketing part of this. Getting that specific part of this right is so important.
Huge.
So important.
It's so huge. And what I did with the book, I kept wanting to put everything into it and
Yeah.
into it. I thought this is going to turn into a manual, not a book. So what I did is I actually took the book and made it into a module course.
Okay.
And that's where I took like my whole entire marketing plan for my salon spa is in there.
Okay.
Anything that I've used and that was successful, or anything I've used at other salons and spas around the United States is in there.
Wow.
Like my recap sheets, my P&Ls, and as far as what they should look like, what are some benchmarks and things of that nature. So I gave it all
It's all
in
in
the
there. Yeah,
course
it's
as
all in there.
well.
You
Yeah.
put it all in. But would you say that then the book is your most quote proudest achievement, or is there another thing sneaking and like in the back of your mind that you're super proud of through the years that
Well,
you want to talk about?
I'm a mom first. So
Okay,
I'm
there you go.
extremely proud
Yeah,
of my daughters.
Mama bear's
And
happy.
yeah,
Yeah,
so I always tell people I am always a mom first. So
yep.
first and foremost that. Um, I'm proud of the book. I'm proud of the course because there wasn't anything I held back.
Okay.
So I truly and really people say, "Well, why do you do this?" My reasoning to do this is because our industry is hard
Yeah,
and too many people fail, and it's just because they don't know what to do.
yeah.
And I would love to see our industry be where, everybody's making as much money as they want and they're living their best lives and not struggling.
I guess, speaking to that last point that you just said, it's so hard. Is there any advice that you'd have for somebody that's just starting their business right now? What would be the first thing that you'd throw out there to them?
My very, very first thing I would say is get some books and read, not just mine, but I did that.
Yeah.
I read some books, so I started getting some ideas. Then I would definitely get a coach or consultant. You will save yourself thousands and thousands of dollars. You will save yourself so much time, and those people that you hire
Uh-huh.
should pay for themselves within the profit you are making.
Sure.
So you should not be putting out any extra additional money,
Yeah.
but really get the expertise advice. It's kind of like when they went to school, when they started, they didn't know what they were doing. So they learned. So now they know that. That's their expertise. But is their expertise accounting or bookkeeping or a marketing plan or social media? And find someone that can help you do that. It will push you so much further ahead.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I'm sure everyone's going to be excited to hear your perspective and your background on this, and it's been great. Thank you so much for coming down here, Karen.
Oh, you're
It's been really
welcome.
cool. Anything else that you'd like to share? Any other side things?
Yeah, the one other thing I'd like to share is my clothing line.
Yeah.
I started because my younger daughter has ADHD,
Okay.
and I've done some TED Talks regarding ADHD. And so that revenue goes towards a foundation. So kids with ADHD don't always go to a traditional college. They'll go to maybe cosmetology, vet tech, or stenographer. And people sometimes find it hard to get money to pay for those things.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do something where I can give grants to help these kids or young adults pay for their education.
Oh, that's very charitable. Thank you. So I guess we'll leave it there. It's been a great talk here. This is Karen Pudetti again from the owner of Luxe Salon Spa and Laser Center. It's been great to have you down. And I'm meteorologist Mark McLean. We're looking forward to seeing you again back here. You can catch us on YouTube and Facebook for Ask the Expert.